This is the Tilta Camera Cage for the Panasonic GH6. So this is what comes in the box. Top handle, HDMI cable and connector to the cage, so you can sit tightly. And this is the cable protector. Okay, here we have the camera cage itself. Let's see what's in here. Okay, this is a base plate which you can attach to the bottom if you want it. I'm not sure what advantage this adds because this is already an Arca Swiss base. Okay, anyway. There's a bit about the details about it, about the dimensions, weight, 186 grams. Okay, that's this. Okay, that's just the packing. Let me just put these to the side. So, okay, on the top part you have a 1/4" 20 with the locating pins, another 1/4" 20 but in a cold shoe form, another 1/4" 20 with locating pins. And I think this is a NATO rail, and you have a cold shoe on this side, on the left side, and a cold shoe on the right side as well. That's quite nice. I like having cold shoes on both sides. And here you have this opening and an opening here which you can use for a hand strap. And then on the right hand side you have 1/4" 20s with locating pins. There doesn't seem to be any 3/8" 16 threads, so all of them are 1/4" 20 with locating pins, and then you have the rosette there as well, which can be quite useful if you want to attach a handle on the left hand side. And here on the front you also have a 1/4" 20 again with locating pins, and same thing here. Here you have 2 threads for lens support. I don't know if you can use these for 15mm rods. And then you have the Arca Swiss base, a flat screwdriver with a magnetic attachment, so it stays there. And this side as well, it looks like it's, so this is the left side, that's also, it looks like it, I think this is NATO rail. So I think there's NATO rail both on top here as well as on the left side. On the right side there's no NATO rails. And here you have 2 threads for attaching the cable protector. I personally, I don't really like these cable protectors. I think they stop the flip screens from moving, and once you've attached everything it just gets in the way. I mean, luckily with the GH6 you can tilt the screen as opposed to flip it open, so it's not a huge problem. One thing I like about this cage is that it has this locating pin for the GH6. So let me just show the GH6 1 second. So here you have this locating pin right there. You have a hole there for a locating pin. So if you have this screw and the locating pin, then the camera won't move once it's set inside the cage. Another thing I wanted to mention is you have this tiny screw there, that should be a 2.5, which screws into the eyelet of the camera. So there. So it screws into there. So that's an additional point of contact to make it sit securely in the cage. There isn't one for this side on the left side though. So you have the locating pin, you have the 1/4" 20 screw which goes in the base of the camera, and then you have that small screw which goes in the eyelet of the camera. And you have some soft padding here on top. So this is the part which touches the camera. And there's no soft padding on the right side, but there is some padding on the bottom. So the only padding you have is at the top and on the bottom. So nothing on the left and right side. Actually, I need to unscrew this. I want to put the camera in it, but I have to unscrew this first before I can put the camera in, because the camera slides in from this side. So the fact that it has a locating pin, now that I haven't even screwed anything on this yet, the camera is already sitting quite tight and without moving. So that's quite nice. Although I think they could have put another additional screw for the left eyelet as well. Although I don't think it matters that much. So let's see if I can screw this on. Okay, that's screwed on. Maybe I tightened it too much. Okay, no, that's fine. The reason I said I might have tightened it too much is just in case I needed to align the screw with the eyelet, but they seem to have aligned perfectly anyway. Okay, I'm just screwing in this. Okay, everything aligned really nicely here. Okay, I really like the feel of this compared to some other cages that I've used with the GH6. It fits the camera quite nicely in the sense that the camera sits really firm on it, and I think it's a lot to do with the locating pin on the base of the camera. So let me just open this top handle because so the top handle is a NATO rail, which I think is good because why is this not sliding in? Because once you start putting handles on and taking them off, after a while you get tired of screwing handles, so you don't want to. Okay, this is. I'm not sure why this is loose. Okay, this handle is sitting loose on this. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay. Yes, it's me doing something wrong. So once it goes in, I need to lock it, but I have to lift this in order to be able to twist it more. Okay, nice, it's tight. Okay, so let me take the handle off. Well, I mean, the handle is fine, and you can attach it in both ways. So, okay, so one thing I want to mention about the handle is if you connect it this way, you have this place to connect a monitor or, other peripherals, as long as it takes the 1/4" 20 screw, and if you have a locating pin, then that's even better. On top here, you have 1/4" 20 threads, and you have a 3/8" 16 thread and another 1/4" 20. So 2 1/4" 20 with the locating pins and one 3/8" 16. And on this side, you have a cold shoe, and the cold shoe has a 1/4" 20 inside it. So this is something I think Tilta does a lot. So even on the cage itself, you have a cold shoe, and then you have a 1/4" 20 there, which you can secure something in. And I'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to just show about this. So when you want to lock it, you twist it this way, but then when you reach the end, you can lift this. So I don't know if you can see this. So if I lift this, then I can move it back and then turn it more. So the movement limit is here, either to this or this. And then when you want to turn it more, you lift it up and put it back there, and then you twist it again until you can make it tight. Or if you want to loosen it up, you repeat the same thing. So once you get it to the right place, you shouldn't have to do more than half a turn or 2 turns or 2 half turns at most. Just to show you, I'm not going to connect this because this is the cable protector. I'm not going to touch this because I think these are a waste of time. So it has 2 cables, and there's also a Allen key. So what you do is you screw these in here to the bottom of the cage, and then you tighten it. So this is just for the HDMI. I think the version that comes with the camera itself has 2 places, one for the HDMI and one for the USB-C. But I think all of these are pointless unless there's an option to squeeze underneath the HDMI or USB cable, because in my experience, whenever something snags on the cable, it's usually moving the cable to the downwards. So, you know, your feet or your hand or something hits the cable and the cable is going downwards, whereas this is tightening it from left to right. And I'm sure that will reduce the movement downwards, but it's not completely where it should be. Whereas what I think should happen is that you should have a similar structure here that moves it to grip the HDMI cable both from the top and the bottom to make sure it doesn't move downwards. So that's my real concern, and that's why I don't use these, because these are pointless. I've seen some other cage manufacturers doing that, but it doesn't seem to be that common. This is actually something which is better. Let me just take this. So this is a HDMI cable. So you plug this into the camera and then this way, and then you screw this here on the cage. So that's actually a much better solution than what we were just looking at now. So if you have this plugged in and your HDMI cable is going into here, then if something hits the HDMI cable, this is securely tightened on the cage. So it can't be damaged unless you actually hit this part here. And yeah, I mean, this is just a base plate. I'm not gonna attach this. It already has Arca Swiss, although it looks like all of these holes are 1/4 inch 20, so that might be why this base plate could be useful if someone wants a different type of. So even on the base plate, everything is 1/4 inch 20. So this seems to be like, I think Tilta does everything with 1/4 inch 20 and locating pins, while some other manufacturers tend to do 3 8-inch 16s with locating pins. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal anyway. There's another thing I want to also show. If you use the audio adapter, then attaching things on top here will be quite difficult irrespective of how you do it. Just to show how the audio adapter actually sits on with the cage, I'm gonna try to see whether they can be used. Okay, so you can see that it goes into place. This is the position that it's in. Now the question is, can you use a handle with this? And obviously you can get specialized handles, but let me see if it works with the default handle that Tilta provides. So this is the Tilta handle that comes with this cage. No, this is definitely not going to work. So you can see already that it's not gonna, you know, be able to move in there. actually try it from this side. It actually might be better to show us. Yeah, it's blocked. So I think if you want to use the Tilta cage with this, it's fine, but you can't put the handle on top there. Or if you want to have a top handle, then you need to make sure you get a specialized one that's shaped in a particular way, or add something that comes out. So the handle is out of the question, in my opinion, if you're using this, unless you're willing to go through extreme measures to get the right kit or the right top handle, and not just the right top handle, but also things to attach to the cage for it to sit. So
anyway, let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to demonstrate something.